There's a particular kind of hatred that doesn't announce itself with loud arguments or obvious confrontations. It sits quietly in the corner of a room, wearing a smile that never quite reaches the eyes. It congratulates you on your promotion while already planning how to undermine your success. It asks about your relationship while secretly hoping it fails. This is the face of destructive jealousy, and it's more common and more dangerous than most people realize. Jealousy is a normal human emotion. We all feel it occasionally when someone has something we want or achieves something we desire. But what we're discussing today goes far beyond those fleeting moments of envy. We're talking about pathological, destructive jealousy that transforms ordinary people into calculated saboteurs. We're examining the dark psychology of individuals who become so consumed by what you have that they dedicate significant time, energy, and resources to destroying it. Research in social psychology reveals that chronic envy is one of the most destructive and prevalent toxic emotions in human relationships. Studies show that approximately 75% of people report experiencing destructive envy at some point, and about 15 to 20% of the population experiences it regularly and intensely. What's particularly concerning is that envious people rarely admit their jealousy, even to themselves. Instead, they rationalize their destructive behavior as justified, as protecting themselves, or as giving you what you deserve. The reason jealousy is so dangerous is that envious people don't see themselves as the villains in the story. In their minds, your success is somehow their victimization. Your happiness is their suffering. Your achievements are evidence of unfairness in the universe. This distorted thinking allows them to justify behaviors that would otherwise conflict with their self-image as good people. They can sabotage you without guilt because they've convinced themselves you somehow wronged them simply by succeeding. What makes this particularly insidious is that the most destructive jealousy often comes from people close to you. Family members, supposed friends, romantic partners, co-workers, people who have intimate access to your life and therefore the greatest power to damage it. They know your vulnerabilities, your dreams, your schedule, your relationships. They have your trust, which makes their sabotage both easier to execute and harder to detect. Today, we're going to expose the jealousy blueprint, the systematic strategies that envious people use to plan and execute your destruction. We'll explore the psychology behind why they do it, the specific tactics they employ, the warning signs that reveal their true intentions, and most importantly, how to protect yourself from their schemes. This isn't about making you paranoid, it's about making you prepared. Because once you understand the blueprint, you can spot it being deployed against you before real damage is done. The psychology of destructive jealousy. Why they can't stand your success. Before we dive into the tactics, we need to understand the psychology that drives destructive jealousy. Why do some people become so consumed by envy that they actively work to destroy others? At the core of destructive jealousy is profound insecurity combined with an external locus of control. Envious people fundamentally don't believe they have the power to create success for themselves, so they focus on preventing others from succeeding. In their minds, success is a finite resource. Your gain is automatically their loss. Your achievement diminishes them. Your happiness highlights their perceived failures. This creates what psychologists call malicious envy, which is distinct from benign envy. Benign envy might motivate someone to work harder or improve themselves. Malicious envy motivates destruction. The envious person doesn't think, "I want to achieve what they have." They think, "I want to destroy what they have so I don't have to feel inferior by comparison." Neurologically, studies using brain imaging have shown that when people experience intense envy, the regions of the brain associated with physical pain light up. They're literally experiencing your success as their pain. Then, when they see the envied person suffer a setback, their brain's pleasure centers activate. Your pain becomes their pleasure. This helps explain why they pursue your destruction so relentlessly. It's not just psychological relief, it's neurochemical reward. Envious people also engage in what's called downward social comparison. Since they can't build themselves up, they need to tear you down to feel better by comparison. Every time they successfully sabotage you, diminish you, or damage your success, they get a temporary boost in self-esteem. This creates an addiction to undermining you. Each act of sabotage relieves their feelings of inadequacy, which reinforces the behavior. There's often a narcissistic component to destructive jealousy. The envious person believes they deserve the success, recognition, or happiness that you have. In their distorted worldview, the universe made a mistake. You shouldn't have what you have, they should. This entitlement fuels their sense of righteousness in attacking you. They're not being unfair, they're correcting an injustice. Interestingly, destructive jealousy is often triggered not by people who are vastly more successful, but by people who are similar to the envious person in most ways, but slightly ahead in specific areas. This is called the similarity-jealousy paradox. A coworker at your level who gets promoted triggers more jealousy than a CEO you've never met. A friend who gets engaged triggers more envy than a celebrity couple. The closer you are in overall circumstances, the more intolerable small differences become. The envious person also struggles with something called invidious comparison, where they can only evaluate their own worth relative to others, rather than on absolute terms. They can't appreciate their own achievements without comparing them to yours. If you're doing better, their accomplishments feel meaningless. This makes your success not just painful, but intolerable because it robs them of the ability to feel good about their own lives. Finally, many destructively jealous people have an attack-defense orientation to life. They see the world as fundamentally competitive and threatening. In their minds, either you're getting ahead of them or they're getting ahead of you. Cooperation, mutual success, and genuine celebration of others are foreign concepts. This zero-sum mindset makes your destruction not just desirable, but strategically necessary for their psychological survival. Understanding this psychology is crucial because it reveals an important truth. Their jealousy has nothing to do with you and everything to do with their internal dysfunction. You didn't cause their envy by succeeding. Their inability to process success, whether theirs own or others, is a pre-existing psychological issue. This isn't your fault, and you can't fix it for them, but you can protect yourself from it. Phase 1. Reconnaissance. How they study and collect intelligence. The jealousy blueprint begins with reconnaissance. Envious people don't attack blindly. They study you first. They gather intelligence about your life, your vulnerabilities, your relationships, and your sources of happiness. This reconnaissance phase can last months or even years as they position themselves and collect information. During this phase, the jealous person is often friendly, even overly interested in your life. They ask detailed questions about your work, your relationships, your plans, your finances. They want to know about your goals and dreams. They're attentive when you talk about challenges or insecurities. To you, it seems like genuine interest or friendship. To them, it's intelligence gathering. They study your relationships closely. Who are the important people in your life? What's the nature of those relationships? Where are the tensions or insecurities? They're looking for relationships they can poison, alliances they can break, or people they can turn against you. Strong relationships protect you, so identifying and weakening them becomes a priority. They also observe your routines, habits, and patterns. When do you work? Where do you go? What's your schedule? This information helps them know when to strike, where you're vulnerable, and how to create maximum disruption. They're looking for the pressure points in your life where a small push can create large consequences. Social media has made reconnaissance easier than ever. The jealous person can monitor your life constantly without even being physically present. Every post, photo, or update gives them information. They see your achievements, which fuels their envy. They see your connections, which gives them targets. They see your locations and activities, which helps them predict your patterns. During reconnaissance, they're also testing boundaries. They might share something small about you to see if you notice or object. They might ask for a small favor to see how easily you comply. They might make a subtle critical comment to gauge your reaction. These tests help them understand how much they can get away with and how you respond to boundary violations. The reconnaissance phase is also when they begin positioning themselves strategically. If they're plotting to damage your career, they cultivate relationships with your boss or colleagues. If they're targeting your personal life, they befriend your partner or family members. They create access and credibility before they strike, so that when they do make accusations or spread rumors, they're believed. Phase 2. Undermining. Subtle sabotage and reputation damage. Once they've gathered sufficient intelligence, jealous people move into the undermining phase. This is where active sabotage begins, but it's still subtle enough to maintain plausible deniability. They're creating damage while maintaining their image as your friend or ally. One of the primary tactics in this phase is strategic gossip and reputation poisoning. The jealous person begins sharing carefully crafted information about you with others. They might share real information, but frame it negatively. They might exaggerate minor flaws into major character defects. They might invent stories that contain just enough truth to be believable. The genius of their gossip is how they deliver it. They don't sound malicious, they sound concerned. "I'm worried about Sarah. She's been acting really erratically lately. I feel bad saying this, but David has been making some questionable decisions." They position themselves as reluctant truth-tellers rather than jealous saboteurs. This makes their poison harder to counteract because they appear well-intentioned. They also employ what's called qualifying compliments or backhanded compliments when speaking to or about you. "You look great for your age. That's impressive for someone without formal training. You did well considering your limitations." These statements appear positive on the surface, but carry implicit criticism designed to diminish you in subtle ways. In professional settings, they undermine your work and competence. They might give you incomplete information for projects, volunteer you for impossible tasks, or take credit for your ideas while framing your contributions as minimal. They create situations where you're set up to fail, or where your successes can be attributed to luck or others' help rather than your ability. They also practice strategic silence and exclusion. They forget to include you in important communications. They don't mention opportunities that would benefit you. They leave you out of social events or professional networking while making sure others know about them. This isolation serves multiple purposes. It limits your access to resources and support. It damages your sense of belonging, and it creates the appearance that you're not valued or liked by the group. Another undermining tactic is planting seeds of doubt about your judgment, stability, or character. They might express concern about your mental health to others. They might question your motives or ethics in subtle ways. "I don't know why she would do that. It seems suspicious. He's been making some choices that don't add up." These seeds of doubt grow over time, especially when repeated by someone who appears to know you well. The jealous person also undermines your confidence directly through subtle criticism disguised as help or honesty. "I'm just being honest because I care about you, but that approach won't work. I don't want to discourage you, but I think you should be more realistic. Let me give you some feedback," followed by criticism designed to make you doubt yourself. They frame their undermining as support, making it difficult to reject without seeming defensive or unreceptive to help. They might also sabotage your opportunities by interfering when you're not aware. They might speak negatively about you to people considering hiring you, dating you, or partnering with you. They might accidentally share information that damages your chances. They position themselves as gatekeepers or informants who just want people to know what they're getting into with you. Throughout this phase, they maintain a friendly or neutral facade with you directly. You might not even realize you're being undermined because they're still smiling to your face, asking about your day, and appearing supportive. The sabotage is happening behind your back, in conversations you're not part of, through actions you don't see. This is intentional. They want the damage to compound before you realize what's happening. Phase 3. Exploitation. Using your vulnerabilities against you. The third phase of the jealousy blueprint involves exploiting the vulnerabilities and weaknesses they identified during reconnaissance. This is where the sabotage becomes more direct and more damaging because it's precisely targeted at your pressure points. If they know you fear abandonment, they work to create situations that trigger that fear. They might create drama in your relationships or suggest to your partner that you're not trustworthy. If they know you're insecure about your intelligence or competence, they attack specifically there, questioning your judgment and highlighting mistakes while minimizing successes. Financial vulnerabilities are particularly attractive targets. If they know you're struggling financially, or if they have any access to your resources, they might create financial sabotage. This could be anything from borrowing money they never intend to repay, to involving you in expenses or obligations that strain you, to actively damaging your income opportunities. They exploit your kindness and your tendency to give people the benefit of the doubt. They create situations where helping them hurts you, where your generosity becomes your weakness. They ask for favors that cost you disproportionately. They create emergencies that demand your time and energy during your critical moments. They position you to sacrifice for them repeatedly while never reciprocating. Jealous people also exploit your desire to be liked and to avoid conflict. They know you won't confront them directly, so they push boundaries further and further. They make unreasonable demands knowing you'll comply to keep the peace. They behave poorly knowing you'll make excuses for them rather than cause drama. Your conflict avoidance becomes their license to escalate. If they've discovered secrets or embarrassing information during the reconnaissance phase, this is when they weaponize it. They might threaten exposure to gain compliance. They might strategically reveal it to damage you at a crucial moment. They might use it to create blackmail dynamics where you feel you have to accept their behavior to keep them quiet. They also exploit your trust and intimacy against you. Things you shared in confidence become ammunition. Vulnerabilities you revealed become targets. The closer you let them, the more precise their attacks can be, because they know exactly where to strike for maximum damage. Phase 4. Escalation, direct attacks, and open sabotage. When subtle undermining doesn't achieve their goals, or when your success continues despite their efforts, jealous people escalate to more direct and aggressive tactics. This is the phase where the mask starts to slip and the sabotage becomes harder to deny. Direct confrontations designed to destabilize you become more common. They might pick fights, create dramatic scenes, or make aggressive demands. The goal isn't resolution, it's disruption. They want to throw you off balance, consume your emotional energy, and distract you from your pursuits. They might make direct accusations or attacks on your character, competence, or integrity. Unlike the subtle implications of earlier phases, now they're more willing to state their criticisms openly, though often still framed as concern or constructive feedback. I have to say something because nobody else will. You're in over your head, and it's becoming a problem for everyone. This is also when they might engage in active interference with your goals. If you're pursuing an opportunity, they actively work to block it. If you're building something, they actively work to destroy it. If you're in a happy relationship, they actively work to create conflict or separation. The sabotage becomes undeniable, though they still attempt to maintain plausible deniability. They also recruit others to their cause, creating a coalition against you. They share their narrative about you to multiple people, building a group dynamic where you're the identified problem. This multiplies the damage and makes it harder to defend yourself because you're now facing multiple people who've been fed the same distorted narrative. Legal or professional sabotage sometimes emerges in this phase. False accusations to employers, law enforcement, or regulatory bodies. Attempts to damage your professional licenses or standing. Sharing proprietary information to competitors. The attacks become serious enough to threaten your livelihood or freedom. In some cases, particularly with severe personality disorders, the escalation can become dangerous. Stalking behaviors, threats to physical safety, or actual violence can emerge. While this is less common, it's important to recognize when a situation is escalating beyond psychological warfare into physical danger territory, because different protections are needed. Protecting yourself. Disrupting the jealousy blueprint. Now that you understand the blueprint, let's discuss comprehensive strategies to protect yourself from jealous saboteurs at every phase of their plan. Early detection and recognition. The most powerful protection is recognizing jealousy early, ideally in the reconnaissance phase. Watch for people who seem excessively interested in your life details, who ask pointed questions about your successes and vulnerabilities, or who can't seem to genuinely celebrate your wins. Notice the emotional quality of their interest. Genuine interest feels warm and supportive. Reconnaissance feels invasive and extractive. Control information flow. Be strategic about what you share and with whom. You don't have to share your dreams, plans, fears, or vulnerabilities with everyone who asks. It's okay to keep your life more private. Share deeply only with people who have proven they can be trusted with that information and who have demonstrated genuine support rather than jealousy. Document everything. When you suspect someone is sabotaging you, start documenting interactions, statements, and incidents. Dates, times, what was said or done, who witnessed it. This serves multiple purposes. It helps you see patterns clearly, it provides evidence if you need to involve HR or other authorities, and it counteracts gaslighting by giving you a factual record. Build and maintain strong alliances. Jealous people try to isolate you because isolation makes you vulnerable. Counter this by actively maintaining and strengthening your relationships with trustworthy people. Have multiple sources of support so you're not dependent on any single person. Create transparency with key people in your life so if someone tries to poison those relationships, there's context and trust that protects you. Don't feed the jealousy. Paradoxically, sometimes protecting yourself means being more discreet about your success, at least around known jealous individuals. This isn't about dimming your light, it's about strategic awareness. You don't have to share every win with people you know are envious. Save those celebrations for people who genuinely support you. Confront strategically. If the sabotage is escalating, sometimes a direct but carefully planned confrontation is necessary. This isn't an emotional confrontation, it's a calm, factual presentation of what you've observed. I've noticed a pattern where you seem to undermine me in specific ways. I need that to stop. Naming the behavior reduces it because the person realizes they've been caught. Involve authorities when necessary. If the sabotage involves workplace issues, professional misconduct, or illegal behavior, involve appropriate authorities. HR for workplace issues, professional licensing boards for misconduct, law enforcement for illegal acts. Don't try to handle serious sabotage entirely on your own. Create distance or cut them off. If someone is consistently working against you, you have the right to remove them from your life entirely. End the friendship, minimize family contact, change jobs, whatever is necessary. Your peace and success are more valuable than maintaining a toxic relationship out of obligation or guilt. Strengthen your position. The best protection against sabotage is being so solid in your relationships, reputation, and work that attacks don't stick. Build genuine credibility. Maintain strong professional and personal relationships. Document your achievements. Create a track record so strong that when someone tries to undermine you, others question the accuser rather than believing them immediately. Work on your response. Jealous people want to see you rattled, hurt, or failing. One of the most powerful responses is continuing to succeed despite their efforts while remaining calm and dignified. Don't give them the satisfaction of seeing you destabilized. Keep pursuing your goals. Keep building your life. Your success in spite of their sabotage is the ultimate victory. Seek professional support. If you're dealing with serious sabotage, especially if it's affecting your mental health, work with a therapist who understands psychological abuse and manipulation. They can help you maintain perspective, process the emotional impact, and develop effective coping and protection strategies. Understanding the jealousy blueprint isn't about becoming cynical or distrusting everyone around you. Most people in your life genuinely care about you and celebrate your success. But among those people, there may be one or two whose smiles hide something darker, whose congratulations mask resentment, whose presence in your life is actually a threat to your well-being and success. Recognizing jealousy and the systematic sabotage it produces is about protecting what you've built and what you're building. It's about refusing to be a victim of someone else's insecurity and malice. It's about seeing clearly so you can respond effectively. Remember this fundamental truth: someone else's jealousy is their problem, not your responsibility. You don't need to make yourself smaller to make them feel better. You don't need to hide your success to spare their feelings. You don't need to accept sabotage because they can't handle your growth. Your success, your happiness, your achievements are yours to celebrate and protect. Anyone who can't genuinely celebrate with you doesn't deserve access to your life. Anyone who works to destroy what you've built reveals themselves as an enemy, not a friend, regardless of what they claim to be. Stay vigilant but not paranoid. Watch for patterns but don't assume the worst of everyone. Protect yourself but remain open to genuine connections, and never, ever let someone else's jealousy convince you to dim your life. Keep succeeding, keep growing, keep building the life you deserve. And when jealous people reveal themselves through their sabotage, have the wisdom to recognize it, the strength to defend against it, and the courage to remove them from your life. Your success is not their failure. Their jealousy is not your problem, and your life is yours to live fully, regardless of who wishes otherwise. Protect it fiercely. You've earned everything you have, and you deserve to keep it.